Staring at herself in the mirror on the restroom door.
Hey there and welcome to a new video. Namhlanje I'm going to be doing a recap of my pregnancy, labor, and also what it's like having a baby 3 months down the line. I really hope you're going to enjoy this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't. If you have, thank you so much for being a loyal subscriber. I do have a couple of pregnancy videos and my birth vlog already, so if you haven't, maybe watch those first and then come back to this video. So first up, we have pregnancy. I did not enjoy being pregnant at all. I felt like I was not in control of my body. My body was just doing its own thing. Even with all the apps telling you what to expect, my gynae giving me advice, telling me that everything is okay, I was constantly worried about one thing or the other. And also all the hormones, there was just a lot going on all at the same time. And I found it very overwhelming. But I do have to say that physically I had a fairly easy pregnancy. My body did all the things that it was supposed to do. There was a little bit of a scare towards the end with the baby possibly being a little bit too small, but that was a false alarm. He was on the smaller end in terms of weight, but he was still in the normal range. What I did love about my pregnancy, but it's more of a decision that we made, and that was to keep things private and basically a secret. It was a secret. It wasn't even just private, it was a secret. Because we purposefully did not tell anyone. We didn't tell anyone at all for the first 12 weeks. It was just us and our gynae. And obviously the people at our gynae's office that knew. And then at 12 weeks, after our 12-week appointment, we then told our parents and our siblings. Keeping it a secret wasn't a difficult thing for me because I'm a secretive person anyway. So, like, I can keep a secret. Let me just say that I can keep a secret, like, hands down. But I loved it because it was just such a sacred moment for us and we could truly just bask in the new journey that we were on. So I loved it. I just loved it. But I'm not 100% sure if I would do it again, like keep it a secret for so long, because it does get lonely when there is almost no one that you can talk to about what's going on. So I don't know if I would do that again because it does get a bit lonely. But I wouldn't change how we handled this pregnancy, but I don't know if I would do it again if I were to have another baby. So I made a lot of mistakes, not using providers that my medical aid partners with. Oh my gosh, like I went for blood tests. You go routinely for a blood test once when you're pregnant. And the first time I used a provider that is not partnered with my medical aid. So they paid for it out of my savings instead of out of my maternity benefit. And that ate up so much of my savings. Like, towards the end of my pregnancy, I think I had like 200 Rand in savings. Oh, another thing is that I got my prenatals via medical aid as well. I should have just paid for that cash. I don't know why, but I only thought about it at the end, but I should have just paid for it cash because they were more expensive on the medical aid than if I was going to pay for them cash. That was another mistake that I made. Like my medical savings was around 200 and something when I gave birth. And if we're going to get into where I need to use my savings, it's for it cash. I did end up having to pay for one of my gynae consultations cash, the very last one, because my medical aid covers 8 and I had 9 consultations. But that wasn't really a huge thing because I was kind of aware that I may need to pay for 1 or 2 more consultations. So I fell pregnant when I was still wearing my Kasamakoti outfit, and I had initially planned that we're going to fall pregnant later on in the year. I will have already bought some stuff, but it happened a lot quicker than what I had initially thought. So I was like, okay, I'm not really going to buy clothes for myself while I'm pregnant. I'm just going to wear my old clothes. And because I don't know how my body is going to change, and I'm starting like a whole new wardrobe. I said I was going to start a whole new wardrobe after I take off my Kosamakoti clothes. So I was like, I'm just going to hold off on buying clothes a little bit until I'm at a weight, until I've given birth. I said until I'm given birth because I wasn't going to be able to wait until I've lost all the baby weight. So until I've given birth, and then only I'll start buying clothes. At least then I will have a clearer picture of what my weight and what my size is. So I literally didn't buy anything until the last month of my pregnancy. And I think that was a huge mistake because I felt so ugh. And once I actually bought clothes, I felt so much better about myself. So when it comes to labor, right? At my very last appointment, which was just before I hit the 40-week mark, my gynae decided that I should be induced. If I don't give birth by the Tuesday when I was going to hit 40 weeks, then I need to come in on that Tuesday morning and I'll be induced. The plan was to give birth vaginally. I wanted very minimal pain. I didn't want an epidural. But things took a turn when I got to the hospital, and I started feeling contractions. I don't know, it is said that if you are induced, it hurts a little bit more because you're literally forcing your body to give birth. So some of the videos that I watched of people that have been induced and that have also not been induced, they did say that it did hurt more when they were induced. So I don't know if that was why it hurt so much, but I just couldn't. It was not going to happen. And I decided that, no, let's just get the epidural. Guys, and yeah. So I decided to get the epidural, and that was literally the best decision I've ever made for myself. Ever, because my labor was just so stress-free after that. Like, bending was so easy to be that calm if I was in a lot of pain. It was just so stress-free. 3 or 4 pushes and my baby came out. Hey, man, it was like, God, is this? But obviously I couldn't feel anything like from my waist down. 3 or 4 pushes, my baby came out. He cried a little bit. I held the baby. Like, it was just so stress-free. Like, I'm never gonna attempt to do anything unmedicated ever again. If I ever have a baby, I'm definitely going to be taking the epidural. And I was only 3 centimeters dilated when I took the epidural. So in benzo banjani at 10 centimeters that I needed to get to. It was just, the epidural was just the best thing for me, and it was just such a positive birth experience. Like, that birth experience on my baby phone is what I got after I took the epidural. I did though have 1 or 2 tears, but I was also aware that that happens. My gynae did tell me that in most cases it does happen. That's what she said. So I'm guessing in most cases that she has been involved in, it happens where we tear, but it was very minimal. It was a tiny tear. It wasn't too much. And I'd also been like telling my husband that it happens and sending him pictures of the different tears that can happen. But like I said, AM was like, it was a very, very small tear. But I was also at ease throughout the whole process because I really trusted my healthcare providers. We had been at the hospital for a tour. We had met some of the sisters. I was very comfortable with my gynae. She just made me feel very much at ease. And I had purposely searched for a female gynae, and I'd also read reviews to see if that I could like find reviews of Black women that had used her before, and I did, because that's just in the area that we live in. I need to just be cognizant of certain. It's very important to me to have a gynae that is a woman and that is familiar with Black people, or Black people that have been to her have positive things to say about her. One of the YouTubers that I follow and I absolutely love actually also used her, so that just made me feel really good. And I actually saw her when I was going to one of my appointments, but and she was with her whole family, so then I found about but yeah, really, really positive experience. I absolutely love her. Then after I gave birth, I moved from the labor room and we went to our actual room where we were going to be staying. Zana slept over there with me and stuff like that. So the first night he slept over and the baby slept with us. Baby didn't latch properly. My nipples are apparently too flat. I had to get nipple shields. And he did that first night. We did end up feeding a little bit with the nipple shields, but I felt like he wasn't full because he just fed for a very long time, and I was like, maybe he's not getting enough milk. I really don't know where to, but he did sleep. He didn't eventually sleep. I don't know if he slept because he was tired or he slept because he wanted to sleep, but he eventually did sleep. Us woke up the next morning at around very early in the morning, got 7, 8ish, I don't remember. But the sister came and they took the baby to the nursery just to check on him again. The baby didn't come back. I eventually went to ask, and they were like, oh, didn't the sister come and tell you the pediatrician has asked that the baby stays in the nursery, but he's going to come and talk to you if they haven't already. Then I don't know what's going on. And but I think the sister came first and went about the baby. The pediatrician thinks the baby has jaundice, so they just want to monitor the baby closely in the nursery. An hour later, they were like, they're moving the baby to the NICU because the levels are just very, very high. I think the blood results came back because he had just seen the baby and the baby looked a bit yellow. Now, looking back, that morning, I took a picture. Uzano was holding the baby and I took a picture. The baby did look yellow in that picture, but I didn't know. I only saw afterwards. After they said that the baby looks yellow, and then I saw that picture, like, okay, the baby does look yellow. And it was pretty alarming because Batibana, usually in the jaundice, we look for it around day 3 or 4, but it hadn't even been 24 hours since my baby was born. My baby was born at 14 minutes past 2, 14, and at 7, 8, he was already so yellow and his levels were so high. So it was a bit alarming for them, a lot alarming. That's why they took him to the NICU, the neonatal ICU. So yeah, that was traumatic. Jay. But I feel like it was traumatic, but I also felt good that, okay, Lento, they saw this while we were still in hospital. I didn't get discharged and then have to come back on day 4 because now the baby looks a bit too yellow and stuff like that. So I guess it was a good thing that it was seen in hospital. I felt good about that, but it was also I didn't think the baby could possibly not be okay, and could possibly go to the NICU wasn't even a factor. I do know that babies don't always go home immediately. They're not always fine. But I was like, my baby's gonna be fine. And I had thought about jaundice, and a couple of weeks before, and I had said to my husband that it's something that happens, and we had talked about it, but we had talked about it in passing. It wasn't even it's something that could happen. I don't know why, but it had crossed my mind in doing jaundice. So okay, yeah, that happened. And during that time, guys, I didn't know if I was coming or going because the baby was in the NICU and I was in my room. I was trying to pump so that I can take milk to the baby at the 3-hour intervals that they suggested. And the milk wasn't really coming in strong. Now, I had milk since I was at about week 30. My boobs were leaking at week 30. I don't know why or how that happened, but my boobs were leaking at week 30 already. So I honestly, that's the one thing that I was not worried about, is about, am I going to have milk or not? So I did have milk, but at the rate at which he was drinking the milk, I was at 30 mils and he was already at 60 mils, drinking 60 mils. So in J, it was a lot in J. And my supply wasn't really enough for him. So we ended up doing formula, and then I would just bring whatever milk that I had. But like I said, I think I didn't know if I was coming or going. I think that really delayed my healing process because from then I was on my feet. I would have to walk to the babies, to the NICU, come back to my ward. It's not a very long walk, but imagine your body has been through a lot. I also wasn't I wasn't on it in terms of, I was supposed to do sitz baths every couple of hours, but I was only doing it once, maybe twice a day. Those first couple of days, twice a day, I was doing them twice a day. On day 4, when I went home, I didn't even do the sitz bath properly. I wasn't taking my pain meds properly. And I think also because I had such a painless birth, I thought I was fine. I didn't realize just what my body had been through and what was really happening. Because I was like, I'm fine. I don't feel any pain. Yeah, well, and then I lessened my dose. She was like, okay, if you don't feel as much pain, instead of taking 2 pills, you can take 1. And a couple of days in, when baby was eventually home, I was in so much pain down there. But I didn't want to say anything because my mom had been like, no, you need to relax and don't let I'm going to relax. Like I'm going to actually because my baby is sick. But yeah, when I got home, I was in pain down there. So then I had to be really serious about the sitz bath. That's just salt and water baths, and I would sit in the bath like you come every so with the intervals of the baby, it was every 3 hours. So 6, 9, 12, 3, and then 6 again. So 9 or 6 on some days, but I would do the sitz bath and then again at 12 and then again at 3. Like I would do it like that. And then I eventually started getting better and making sure that I take my pain meds. And also, you're supposed to continue taking your prenatals, and I just wasn't on it, man. I just wasn't on it. I was very flustered. I would take them when I remembered. But anyway, the entire is that because I was already up and about from literally day 1 after giving birth, I feel like I've bled a lot longer than what, I don't know, go to 6 weeks. I bled for a lot longer than that. And I also spotted down the line. So I don't know. I think it took my body a while to recover because I've been up and about from day 1, literally. Because also my sister were here for about a couple of days, a week, a little over a week, almost 2 weeks after I gave birth. So that was really, really nice because they were cooking and washing dishes and stuff. I didn't have to also do all those things. But when they left, then obviously we have to try and find a routine of our own. So I've been up and about since basically then. I would say since then, and I've been trying to find a new routine. I still don't really have a set routine, but I'm kind of getting into it. Definitely kind of getting into it. But yeah, I think I've taken a lot longer to heal because I just haven't had time to rest and sleep. Since the baby's been here, and you're supposed to rest and sleep, but I didn't get that opportunity from the baby being in hospital. Then the baby came home, and then eventually the help that I had left, and it was just us, and my husband has to go to work. So it's just been me and the baby for a very long time. It's only now that I am starting to have time to relax a little bit. So with being a first-time mom, there are also a lot of feelings that I had of not knowing what to do. I don't have any experience with babies now. And then when or not barely that, like if there's a baby in my family, I'll be like babysit and stuff like that. First of all, a lot of the people, like there aren't a lot of babies in my family anyway. I have like one cousin that has a baby that's around, like a cousin that's around my age that has a baby. Aunts and uncles that have babies, but their babies are like older, like 8 years old, like badala, like they had babies when I was younger. And also I'm 4 years older than my sister, 8 years older than my brother. Like there isn't a lot of babysitting that I have, even in terms of them. I only remember changing my brother's diaper like once, and I only remember being left alone with him as a baby for maybe like 20 minutes. He had a nanny, so I honestly don't have any baby experience at all. And there were a lot of feelings of not knowing what to do. Now with the hospital that I was at, when your baby's in the NICU, before your baby gets discharged, they bring you in and you come and you sleep over to see if you can just be with your baby through the night, because you don't have that experience. Unlike with, if your baby was normal, then you would have had that day 2 to be with your baby the whole day, and do all the feedings yourself and stuff like that. So you come back in the day before your baby's discharged, and you basically spend the night with your baby. You do all the feedings yourself, changing the diaper and stuff like that. And I get it, and I think it was a good thing because it gave me a little bit more confidence with regards to taking care of the baby, but it didn't help my feelings of not knowing what to do. Like it made me feel so insecure, and it made me feel like, oh, the reason why my baby isn't going home is because I don't know what to do. I have to prove that I'm a good mom and stuff like that. I know I shouldn't take it in that way, but for some reason, like in that moment, that's how it felt. Yeah, that's how it felt in that moment. But I say I don't know what to do and stuff like that. Like it made me feel very insecure. And also as someone who likes to uzenzela izinto, who likes to figure things out herself and stuff like that, like it just made me feel some type of way. But I know that it came from a good place, and I know that it actually helped me in the long run. It's just that in that moment where, like when it was the night before, like when my husband was leaving, I literally cried my heart out. It was just, I just didn't feel good about it. And it felt like my baby isn't being discharged because I don't know what to do, because I'm not a good mom and all that, because I'm not prepared for this, and it wasn't done. And I didn't like that feeling. But it all worked out in the end, and it was actually a good thing because the nurses were there if I needed anything. It was a challenge. But yeah. So with its 6 weeks, I was a mess. First 6 weeks, I was a mess. I think I only got better after my 6-week appointment. Jonga, I said I go to bed because I didn't know what to do. And also when we were at the hospital, we had a routine, but when we came home, I sort of loosened the routine a little bit. And I think that was a mistake because I then started getting us back onto a routine, and then things have been a lot better on another level. But the first 6 weeks, I was a mess. Anything that was making me a mess was the pumping thing. Oh, Ashen. I feel like little bitches out to go. It was just a lot of work. But the pumping, because in there that I was doing is that, and he wouldn't latch. Even when I would use the nipple shields, it irritated him because he was so used to the bottle. My baby started taking the bottle like from day 2, because I wasn't producing enough milk. They needed to give him something. So, which is also a question mark, because they had said that if your baby needs milk, they're going to give it to him in a cup. And that's what they did at first. But eventually they started giving to him in a bottle. But as call up. That's the only qualm I have. But as so he was used to the milk just flowing. So with the nipple shield, where it creates the shape of a nipple, but he still needs to work a little bit harder. I wish my baby's not about that life. No, he's not about that working hard life. He's about working smart. So it really frustrated him, and the nipple shield frustrated me as well because it moves around, like it doesn't have proper suction. I don't know if it was that brand of nipple shields, but even the ones that I saw at Clicks, because that was Medela, and even the ones that I saw at Clicks were like the same type of thing. It didn't really stick onto your nipple, and yes, it would move around and stuff. So that definitely didn't work for us. So I started pumping, and I was using I had the silicone breast pump, and I also had an electric pump that I got off of Take a Lot that I saw on Chita, my Ghana's channel, and she said that it really worked for her, and a lot of the reviews were like it really works, especially for the price. And it really did work, guys. I don't want to say it didn't work, but within, I think around week 4, it bombed on me, and I was pumping every 3 hours. Okay, let's say if the baby wakes up at 9, we're awake for a little bit. In the beginning, he would only be awake for maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then he would sleep again, and then I would put him down again. I would pump is the first thing that I would do, and then I would clean up, wash the bottle that he had used before. So eventually the pump stopped working. Oh, before I say that, so it was just a huge grueling process, and even when the baby was asleep, like I couldn't relax. I hated people. When the baby sleeps, you also need to sleep. I don't have time to sleep. I need to pump. And even after pumping, I need to make sure that I wash bottles, sterilize, pump. I wash the pump, make sure that it's sterilized as well, get ready for the next pump. I don't have time to sleep. Like, when am I supposed to sleep? I really hated that. But anyway, so that was the routine, is that I put the baby down, I pump, I then wash everything and sterilize everything, make sure that it's ready for the next session. Because I wanted to make sure that the pumping aligns with his feeding as well. Every time he feeds, I pump. And sometimes I would even fit in an extra pump just to get my milk stimulated a little bit more. So it was a very exhausting routine into of having to feed the baby and then still pump. And I think once that electric breast pump, yeah, Mosha, it just stopped working. I don't know what happened to it. It stopped working. I returned it to Take a Lot literally on the same day. They gave me a refund. And I only had that silicone breast pump. And I actually did use that because that was actually the best thing ever. Really, really loved it. And it was like I was getting a lot of milk with that. I was getting sometimes even more milk than I would get. I would put the electric was a double pump, but I found it a little bit too much to have both pumps. So I would have the manual one on one side and the electric one on the other side. And I was getting just as much milk from the manual as the electric, and sometimes even more. So it's that thing is really, really good. So when the electric pump bombed, I sort of like got a break from pumping and I felt relieved and it felt really good. So then I just decided, well, I'm not going to get in, because I was like, because at first I was just going to go and get like one of these, like a Medela pump or a tummy tip one. But then I was like, I actually like not pumping. So how about I just continue with giving him formula, and I will use the manual pump to pump whatever milk, breast milk that I can get, and I'll give that to him as like whenever. So I would sometimes get like for one feeding, we would use the breast milk and then the rest would all be formula. But eventually I even stopped that and I just used formula and I absolutely love it. I'm using the same formula that he was using in hospital. And I felt like when I stopped pumping is when I had like my very first breakthrough. And I felt so much better and I was sleeping more as well. Because with pumping, you can't even sleep through the night. Even if your baby or someone else is taking care of your baby, you still need to wake up. Or I still needed to wake up because my milk wasn't coming in that well. So I still needed to wake up to pump to make sure that I'm getting enough milk. So yeah, stopping pumping was a really good thing for me. And I was able to do other things as well because so much of my time isn't taken up by pumping, washing, sterilizing, yonke. So I really, but maybe if I have another baby, I'll definitely attempt to have nipple shields on hand, and also I'll attempt breastfeeding and pumping again. But and yes, if I kind of like the formula thing. And also even with breastfeeding, I liked pumping and actually seeing how much milk I was giving the baby, instead of just putting him on the boob. I don't know where to, but we'll see it next time. But that stopping Oku Pampa was really amazing. It was really amazing. It was just such a huge relief. And also I went to my 6-week appointment and I felt like I stopped pumping right before my 6-week appointment, man. I don't know, week 4 or week 5, I'm not sure. I think it was week 5 actually. But going to my 6-week appointment, I still felt a bit overwhelmed, and I was just telling my doctor about I'm just a little bit worried about my mental health as well. And she did prescribe something to me, but I never actually took those pills because I felt like after I told her about I'm a little bit concerned, I felt better because I felt like just telling someone by now I am struggling a little bit. Just to get that out there, but I am struggling a little bit because I felt like I couldn't tell anyone else, because I felt like everyone was just, you don't know anything about babies. Everyone was just giving advice. I hated the advice, guys. I hate unsolicited advice. Now if I want to know something, I will definitely ask you. I will Google. First of all, I'll Google, and I will also ask you if now I want to know something. Even if it's on WhatsApp, I'll put it on my status or whatever. If I'm going to ask. And the thing is, with the advice, a lot of the time, it's people are always giving advice as if there's something wrong. Like someone gave me advice. My baby wasn't even a month old. They were sleeping through the night. My 1-month-old baby isn't going to sleep through the night, but my baby probably isn't sleeping through the night because I get go full. But 1-month-old babies aren't necessarily going to sleep through the night, guys. Nezinye manje izinto ze-advice bezindijika because everyone just had something to say. Everyone just had something to say. And they isn't necessarily the advice, because I know that the advice was coming from a good place, but especially I think because my baby was in the NICU, and I felt like advice that I was getting was just, there's one more thing that's wrong with my baby. It was just stressing me out more than helping me out, because it's making me think about what else is wrong with my baby. What else is wrong with my baby? So I just didn't want any advice, Nje. I didn't want any advice unless if I asked you. But can you help me? Even can you help me? I didn't want your advice, Nje, during that time. Yeah. Another thing that really, really helped when we got back onto the routine is using, I had downloaded this baby app before because I heard it on Annie Jeffrey's channel, because she also had a baby, and it's called the Huckleberry app, and you basically track the baby's sleep, you track the baby's nappy, you can track the baby's feeding as well. You can track basically anything for the baby. You just log it onto the app, and then it's easy for you at the end of the day to see, how long did my baby sleep, if your baby's getting enough sleep, is your baby eating enough. But just on top of, obviously you also check the pees and the poos, but it just gave me such a relaxed state of mind. And also I didn't have to remember if all Zano comes home and you ask me about 10, I just go to the app and I'm able to tell him, oh, he slept for this long, and then he woke up for this long and whatever, and he ate this much or he drank this much. I really, really love that app, and I would definitely say, this is an advice channel, but if you're having a baby, it's nice to have something where you can log those types of things. And another thing, because there are a lot of baby tracking apps, I love that app because it's not a chaotic app. I still use it from time to time, but I don't use it as much as I used to in the beginning. It's not I call chaotic, it's very simple to navigate. It doesn't have a lot of ads. It doesn't have I don't know if they do have a chat room, but I don't see any chat room type of things on there. I didn't want, because I did also download another app, but it was just so busy and I didn't like it. So this one is just simpler. I am stressed, and I'm stressed because there are so many things that are going on. It's just very simple and it's to the point, and I loved it. So now it's been about 3 months, and it's been the best, even though they are complaining now, but it's honestly been the best 3 months of my life. I can't imagine my life without my baby. What was I doing? But if you had asked me this 2 days ago, it's been the worst time of my life. So it's really a roller coaster, but overall, honestly, it has been the best experience of my life. I love having a baby. I hated being pregnant, but I would have another baby again just to have another baby, because I love having a baby. I love having a baby. He is everything. He has grown so much. My baby was definitely on the smaller end. I even carried pretty small. My belly only really popped in the last 2 weeks or so. Visibly, I'm pregnant and I have a lot of weight in the last couple of weeks. But he only weighed about 2.74 kgs when he was born. So he was skinny, because he wasn't a small baby. He was still tall, but he was very skinny. He isn't super chubby as well though, but he is big. He's tall and he's big, and he looks like he's 6 months old, and he's only 3 months old and he's about to be 4 months. He's about to be 4 months as I'm shooting this video. He started wearing 3 to 6 month clothing when he was only 2 months old. At Ackerman's though, because I think different stores, his sizes are a little bit different. But at Ackerman's, he started wearing 3 to 6 months clothes when he was only 2 months old. And I actually didn't think that was going to happen, because he wore his newborn size clothes past the 6-week mark. So I didn't know, but I didn't think he was going to wear 3 to 6 months clothes so soon. But Sana, he literally only wore the 0 to 3 month clothes for 2 weeks, and then there was just major growth spurt around 8 weeks, and they were small, zingling. And then he was wearing his 3 to 6 months clothes. We had to get him 3 to 6 months clothes because So I don't know, Jay. He just had a major growth spurt, and he's been on that trajectory like since. He's just growing. Like Mogo, when I go get more clothes for him, I'm not gonna get a lot of 3 to 6 months clothes. I'm gonna get the next size because he's already kind of fitting snugly into the 3 to 6 months clothes. But like I said, I think different stores, his size in Yabo is a little bit different. So, and he's growing like a lot. He is smiling now. Oh, he loves his daddy. Itata kumvanje noba evula umnyaka kambona umbona uyamva uba usemnyango uvula umnyango, and he literally lights up. But he's a smiler anyway. He's definitely not a fussy baby. I think God really he worked in that regard. He's not a fussy baby. He doesn't really cry. If we are calendar back, he's tired or he's hungry, or maybe his nappy needs to be changed. But I also try to stay on top of the nappy thing. So that one isn't really something that happens a lot. But he cries most of the time. When he's crying, is because he's sleepy. Because I also stay on the butter. I think we are dequanting because I'm always trying to feed him. I try to stay on the butter as well because I don't want him to be hungry. I can deal with the tired, but I don't like it if he's hungry and tired. But yeah, he is so big, like Andiyazi, and he's growing so quickly. Like when I look at pictures of when he was really young, I'm like, I can't believe it. His face is so full. He has like rolls on his thighs, like man, and I'm just so happy. And he's now also like, he flips over randomly, like from his tummy to his back randomly as well. He's just, and it's happening so quickly. Like, I feel like I'm going to spend every moment of my time with him, but then we are as well. I kind of felt guilty about this in the beginning, but I don't feel guilty about it because having to take care of someone 24/7 is very exhausting and you get tired. And when there is someone else who is able to take the baby and say, I'm whatever you want to do, go get your nails done or whatever. It's nice. So I truly appreciate my husband for that. So yeah, but otherwise, I'm absolutely loving having a baby. Best experience of my life, most of the time. Medical aid is a good thing, especially if you don't have an excessive amount of cash sitting around that you can just because my baby was in the NICU as well, our bill was around 60K. I think it was a little bit more or a little bit less than 60K, but that was our bill. I don't have a 60K that I can just pay someone and be okay with it. So medical aid came in handy, even for the things that my medical aid didn't cover, like my husband staying over, me staying over an extra day as a boarder. I have a gap cover, so that was covered as well. I did end up paying for me staying over a little bit, but I just claimed it from my gap cover and they gave me the money back. So in medical aid with gap cover, you can never go wrong. Another thing is that, in the one layer, is that I didn't have to buy everything on everyone's must-have lists. The tenge is izinto for the baby that I wanted. You don't have to buy yonke into that everyone says is a must-have, and you don't have to buy everything all at once. It's also good to wait for the baby to come and see Antoni, which is actually really hard for me because I'm a planner and I want my things to be readily available and but in this case I think it is a good thing. And that he likes in terms of toys as well. He isn't really into teddy bears yet, so he only has one teddy bear that he got as a gift, like of which I initially wanted to get a lot, just to see what the baby likes and what he's into, and obviously also expose him to things. But I think it's a good thing not to get into on everyone's must-have list all at the same time and buy things at your own pace. And it's very, very like, you don't have to take everyone's advice. I would also like to put it out there that people need to stop just giving unsolicited advice. Sometimes you can just say that the baby is cute and it's okay. Do you understand? You don't have to give advice. But yeah, you don't have to take everyone's advice because people are going to give advice. You don't have to do everything that everyone says right. You don't have to do that. And But I feel like I was ready to have a baby, but I also feel like you can never be 100% ready to have a baby, especially mentally. This lady that I watched, Uzethu Mazia, Mrs. Mazia, also said Naibana. She also gave birth. I think we're around the same age. I think she's maybe a year younger than me, actually. I think. Or she's the same age as me, but maybe a year younger than me. And she was like, I think she's a year younger than me. And she was like, she wasn't ready mentally. She was ready to have a baby, but she wasn't ready mentally to have a baby. And I think it's the same thing. You can't really be ready for something that you haven't experienced before. You can't be 100% ready for something that you haven't experienced before. When I'm Mali and everything is all set out and you have a plan, because trust me, I'm always going to have a plan. I always have a plan. I have a plan A, B, C, all the way up to Z. But I was not 100% ready to have a baby. It's extremely overwhelming. I'm extremely tired. I don't have as much time to do everything that I want to do. I knew at the back of my mind that having a baby takes up so much of your life, and you are going to have to, your life will change a little bit. But I didn't know about to this extent. Like, everything is about the baby, guys. Everything. And Yazama, though, to make sure that I put myself first, because it's important for me to be happy, for one girl around me to also be happy. Which I guess is also a good thing from having a baby, is that I'm definitely learning to prioritize myself more and to prioritize my happiness a little bit more, because I have so little time for myself, so I need to make sure that I take care of myself. So making myself a priority has definitely gone up the list, but it's a lot more effort to Yenza Lonto versus when I didn't have a baby. So it's a lot, and it's overwhelming, but it's actually the best thing that's ever happened, and I wouldn't change it for anything. I don't want, even though they're complaining throughout this whole video that this went wrong, but I wouldn't change it for anything. I absolutely love being a mom. Like, I love it. Really? I absolutely love being a mom. I wouldn't change it for anything in this world. But mentally, it really just, sana. Like, I literally messaged 2 days ago, was just down, was down bad. But I'm trying to feel a little bit better, and a little bit calmer. And I also try to find joy in even the littlest things. Taking a shower. Janga, it gives me so much joy. I'm done late. I'm to shower, and relax, watch a YouTube video. It now gave me so much joy, and I feel like I used to take them for granted. So, okay. Yeah, we took kumnandi, but it's definitely not easy. That's but kumnandi, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.